Welcome to the Black on Shelf podcast, a podcast championing Black and brown entrepreneurs on the digital and physical shelves. I'm your host, Tanaj Ferguson. This is Black on Shelf. There's a lot we have to talk about today. So how I usually start is how I found out about a brand. And so like I mentioned with you, we were talking before the podcast, I met Hector through a friend of mine that went to business school, Ricky. And Ricky loves cactus, loves the idea of the gluten-free. I think he was on a diet at the time and really found out about gluten-free products, recognized that it worked, grain-free. Also Mexican like you, have a background and really enjoyed what cactus and ingredients can do. So I remember days, sitting in the, we were both admissions officers. So sitting in the admissions office talking about this product idea that he has. So it was to no surprise when he found your brand and really fell in love with Tia Lupita. It really captured the brand in such a way. It felt like home. And I know that was part of your own experience building the brand. This is a great time for you to talk to us about your background.
Absolutely. But by the way, I love this story because I could totally envision you guys sitting in the admissions office and just like, so what's up? It's like, not much. What's up with you? Well, I've been thinking of an idea with cactus. Yeah. It's like cactus. Yes. Just you wait. You'll see cactus everywhere. Cactus soda, similar. Cactus tortillas, cactus, and so everything. Cactus soap, everything. Oh, I totally love it.
Yeah, I mean, Ricky was that was my friend in our MBA program who we would geek out over natural food products and everything like that. He's really into that space, as you know.
Yeah.
So it was like we would find brands and talk about them. And that was, Ricky was someone I could gush about the newest thing. And we would share feedback. Did you try it? Here you are, bring some products. So we still do that today.
Well, and Austin is a great city and platform Absolutely. For specialty food and food that is innovative and breaking paradigms and just introducing new ingredients and all that. So yeah, you guys are in the right place.
In the right place.
It's not all brisket and barbecue in Austin, which is great, delicious not all breakfast tacos. But a lot of goodness as well. So I love Austin and so yeah, this is I guess a great segue to tell you a little bit more about my background and why I know Austin. I know and love Austin so much, and Texas in general. I'm originally from Monterrey, Mexico, which is in the northeast of Mexico. A lot of people immediately, Mexico, Cancun, or
Cabo,
Playa, or Puerto Vallarta, Cabo. No, I'm from the northeast. One of the less popular cities, but one of the most important ones as well. Monterrey is known for its industrial environment and colleges. The Monterrey Tech is obviously from there, and we're not far from Texas. We're like an hour and 45 minutes away from the Texas border.
Yeah.
Actually, my mom is from a border town called Reynosa, which is from the opposite city across the river would be McAllen. So I have family spread across both sides. So Reynosa, Laredo, Brownsville, Matamoros. So every other weekend we would drive up to visit family, and of course go to McAllen and go to HEB and do our.
We actually need to pause there and tell the Boss fam, the Black on Shelf family, what is HEB, because not everyone gets to experience HEB. So I'm gonna let you tell them.
True. Sorry. Yes, exactly. So HEB is Texas' largest grocery chain, and actually they're not in all of Texas. Texas is huge, right? So they're most in the east and south part of Texas. But yeah, it's a whole experience going to HEB.
It's an experience.
It's an experience. They merchandise beautifully. You kind of like when you go there, you want to buy everything. It's like one of those.
I love the local focus too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They big focus on local and their private label. I think HEB was one of the first retailers, grocery retailer that did a fantastic job segmenting their private label. So they had a value proposition, and then they had a mainstream proposition and a premium proposition. Mm-hmm. Before, you only kind of knew private label as just an entry level, right? It's just the value, and so HEB kind of saw a little bit more like, hey, we have loyal fans, we have a great base consumer here. I think we can, do levels in our
Central Market, that
in Central Market
to Whole Foods Market.
That's another experience on itself. Going to Central Market is like, all right, dress up. We're going to somewhere fancy.
Fancy.
Absolutely.
So the boss fam can probably already hear that part of your background must be CPG, because you are also, for a founder, you don't just know your product, you truly know the industry. And that was one of the elements that really attracted me to your story, how you really took the learnings from the consumer packaged goods industry and found your way into building a brand. So talk to us more about this background that really brought you to building Tia Lupita.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, a great question that I don't get asked a lot. And so I really appreciate that. So my background is in CPG. And so, like I mentioned, I'm originally from Monterrey, Mexico, but 16 years ago, there was an opportunity to come to the United States and work with literally, it's a Mexican startup that commercialized and distribute powder soft drink, kind of like Kool-Aid or Tang, with Hispanic flavors, horchata, hibiscus, tamarind, like very, the flavors that you would find in your taqueria or Mexican restaurants, the aguas frescas.
Yes.
And so they brought me in, landed me in Sacramento, and like, hey, you're in charge of developing this area. There's this uncharted territory for us. They gave me a list of stores. I drove my 1999 Nissan Altima from Monterrey to Sacramento. It took me 3 days to get there. Wow. And so that's how I started. I started literally as a field rep, which is, in the consumer packaged goods and food and beverage world, you're starting your entry level. I was literally like a door-to-door salesman, driving up and down the streets. We're focusing a lot in the Hispanic channel or the Hispanic grocery stores. Yeah. Mom and pop bodegas, but here in California, there are a little bit more larger format stores as well. Mm-hmm. So that was key for me to learn this industry, right? From the bottom up, and then from there, I just started progressing. So, and learning, from the nitty gritty and getting your hands dirty, because I was doing merchandising and I was carrying racks and bringing product from the back storage of the room of the grocery store to the front, and talking to the grocery manager and all that. And then, so I could apply that little by little into bigger accounts, with more structure. So from there, I moved to Houston, where they had established the headquarters, and then I handled the Walmart account. And then from there, started networking and doing some relationships there. And Nestle USA ends up hiring me and brings me back to California. Nestle had just created a brand new division called the Emerging Markets Division, which was a division that would commercialize all the Nestle products that they have all over the world and find them a place here in the United States. And so obviously there was a big focus in the Nestle products made in Mexico because of the Hispanic population. So
Right. In California, Texas.
I had some expertise there, and so I was now doing customer development and account management for bigger accounts, and handling a whole region from Seattle to San Diego, and expanding to all the way to Phoenix and Salt Lake. So Arizona, Nevada, and Utah, and then from there I was with Nestle for 4.5 years, and then from there I jumped into Diamond Foods, which was a company based out of San Francisco. That owned really cool brands. One of them being Kettle Chips, which is the number one natural potato chip here in the country. Pop Secret microwave popcorn, Diamond of California culinary nuts, and Emerald.
So the walnuts
exactly, for your baking and all that stuff. And then Emerald snacking nuts, which they focus a lot in all snacking almonds and all that stuff. And so that's when I truly dabbed and learned and realized that there was a specialty natural food channel. For me, it had always been like, Hispanic channel, and then when I was with Nestle, all right, this is the mainstream or conventional channel. And then when I went to Diamond, and so by the way, with Diamond, I kind of transitioned more from being sales focused into brand and marketing focus. So I was doing brand planning and forecasting and all that. So it was pretty cool. It was pretty fantastic doing that. So kind of dabbed my fingers in everything through my career.
Yeah, I think that's so impressive. And I saw that you still did more school, even though you had this hard knocks training. You still have a background of education as well, not specifically in CPG, but you still pursued education formally.
Oh no, absolutely, yes, exactly. So I did my bachelor's degree in Mexico. Shout out to the State University of Nuevo Leon, and then I did my master's degree in France. So it was fun to spend a year and a half over there, and it was an international master, so it was in English. So a lot of people was like, "Oh, how's your French?" And I'm like, I can ask where the restroom is, and that's pretty much.
You speak Spanish and English. Would not that be enough, right?
So I totally know. So exactly. So education is definitely important, and also helped me through my career in CPG.
So did you do France before you came to the US doing sales?
Yeah. Wow. I did France.
How was that? Like, why did you think to do international? I think even that is really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're super global right now.
Thank you. No, so I did my master's right in 2002, and I did my bachelor's, and right away I transitioned to the master's. So I worked very little in between. I did like an internship somewhere in between, and then jumped into the master's program. Back then in around 2001, in the early 2000, Mexico had signed a free commerce treaty with the European Union.
Okay.
And me trying to think strategically or thinking ahead, it's like, there's all this business that's going to happen between Europe and Mexico. They're going to need a lot of experts that have a background or education on doing business on both sides. Just from a legal perspective, or just red tape perspective, all that stuff.
Agreed.
So that was my thinking, and then life happens, and you think you're going through a road, and it's like, no, but look at this other road. And so, yeah, that's how I ended up in the States.
Wow, that's awesome. Just the exposure, the possibilities of what that does for you.
Well, yeah, absolutely, yes, and the experience of living there as well, right?
Right, right.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I mean, uh, uh, one of the shocking things is that, like, for example, school is almost free in France. So even though this was a private institution, it was not a government school or anything like that. It's all subsidized, right? So so I ended up paying very little for my master's degree, right? It was the expense to getting to France and living there that was the most out of the out of pocket.
You're giving people ideas right now. Yeah. Like,
I don't know if the show is sponsored by the big university. Like, is this sponsored like by like?
Not sponsored.
Okay,
Not sponsored.
Not just like maybe I'm screwing oh, by the way, this podcast is sponsored by the University of Texas.
Right. It's not, but we love school. So.
Of course.
There you go. So I love that background. And you come to the US, you get all this experience, Nestle USA, Diamond, brands that really do retail very well. What then makes you think I have to start a brand? What calls you to it?
I have been meditating, not necessarily on that question, but it's very, very tied to it. I've been meditating, like, in hindsight, and now how things have evolved with Tia Lupita. It's like, why did I start this? Like, what truly made me like go like dive into this, and thinking that either it was gonna be. I never knew it was gonna be easy, by the way, but there was some naiveness and some foolishness of behind, but truly, and I spoke recently to someone about this. I feel that I started this as a validation, as a showing to the people in my life, in my career, that I could accomplish something bigger than me. And so here's why. And so maybe we might dive deep into something that might not be pleasant, but you can edit. But I worked so hard. I busted my tail so hard in each of the companies that I worked for, and it was so hard for me to get promoted, to scale through the ranks. And for me, what the recurring feedback was that maybe my language was one of an obstacle, right? That I couldn't communicate corporately or well enough. Just stuff like that I felt that there were huge obstacles that I couldn't overcome. I'm sorry. Yes, I am from Mexico. I am an immigrant. I was not. I was not raised with English. Sometimes my wife tells me, you still close your eyes when you speak English, and that's because I'm translating. I'm trying to translate, right?
Okay.
And so, I mean, and so those were the things that I just needed to prove, and being also underpaid, knowing that what my other team members that were either in my same level or were getting promoted were getting bigger check size than I was. So, at the end of the day, I think that builds up. That builds up, and there is a frustration, and also, hopefully that frustration you can channel it into motivation. Right.
I love this conversation, by the way. I love this, and I'm glad we're not we're not editing this out because people need
Okay,
to hear
good.
this.
Yeah.
This is actually truly inspiring, but it also is so relevant, right? Like to know that it's 2021 and that might be barriers for some people still today. I love that you did channel it into something productive for yourself because you knew you could do it all along. You didn't want to be passed up. You didn't need to necessarily be passed up, but okay, people chose someone else. So you chose yourself.
Absolutely. I think that's exactly right. You're nailing it because I did have the option. So at the end of the day, when Diamond Foods gets sold and they move operations to the East Coast,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I had I had several opportunities. I had the opportunity to go to the East Coast and
Right.
continue with them,
Mm-hmm.
or look for a job here in the Bay Area, and it's booming with the specialty food brands, and I could have easily found a, but again with the background of knowing that you're gonna work again, bust your tail, and get stopped or not get appreciated enough to continue, racing through the ranks or get some equity or get better paid or stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
my wife was awesome in that regard. That hey, why don't you put everything that you've learned in your 15 years and put it into practice and start this brand, start this awesome product, and yeah, and again, it was because of her blessing, right? Because starting this is really hard, and we had kids, and we were not receiving,
How many kids?
have a check. We have 3 kids.
Wow.
Right now, our oldest one is 12, and Isabel, the middle one, is 10, and then we have a 3-year-old.
So you had a lot. You had a lot on the line.
Oh,
Wife, kids spanning across all the ages.
absolutely, yes, absolutely. So,
Yeah.
it wouldn't have been easy at all, or might as well. I wouldn't have done it if I wouldn't have the green light from my wife.
Yeah.
And so, because then a lot of burden would have to fall onto her. All the
Yeah.
breadwinner, she would become the breadwinner.
Yeah. And these are the realities of starting a business at any age, but especially when you're mature, when you have responsibilities, when you have a family. These are real conversations you have to think about. And for you, this was the process. What do you say about the myth? Sometimes it's true for some people, but what do you say to the thought that, oh, it's too expensive for me to start a business? That is some people's barrier. Sometimes it's just in your head and maybe they didn't always do the research. What did you say to that? What did that look like in your own exploration to building the brand?
I do think of that, right? It's like, could I have started this if I didn't have, the peace of mind of Amy being the breadwinner, or me not having some a little stash, that I had put away as savings or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's definitely hard. I think for sure you need to, but it's all doable, all manageable, right? You
Yeah.
can. I started. We bootstrapped this for the first 2 years, and believe me, I stretched every penny. I stretched every dollar I could, and I started this as I could afford it. And
Yeah.
for me, it was okay. Making the hot sauce in a commercial kitchen, buying the produce, and waking up early, like at 3, and going to the the produce depots where all the grocery chains buy their produce and getting the jalapenos, the peppers, and buying going to restaurant, and so buying Restaurant Depot and buying the seasonings and everything, and then going to the commercial kitchen and making the product. And then from there, I could only make 7 cases a day, so for example, but before that, it's like, all right, I need a brand, I need a sticker, I need a label, right? So Google graphic designer and calling graphic designer, how much would you charge me for it to create and just like, all right, this one will do it for $200. All right, let's see it and let's see how it goes. And that's how I did it. I did it literally on a step by step on what could I afford. And then, after doing it myself and putting the product in my Jeep and going into each store and selling it and leaving samples and then getting paid, and like, all right, now I have more money. What else I can do? And so everything kept, as the business grew, I kept reinvesting it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is difficult because in that time though, I'm not getting paid.
Right.
I'm not generating income. So I think a lot of people do like that, want to start a business, but they can't just not get any money, right? So then it's, you have two options. Either you have the idea that fixes the solution, you have the idea that fixes the problem, so you have the solution. But you need to pay your rent and your food. You can work, and then after hours work on your idea, work on your.
We call that the 9 to 5, and then the 9 to 5, and then the 5 to 9. Right? We know it's longer than that for a lot.
By the way, I've always, so every podcast I've heard in the past is like, I've always heard the entrepreneur saying, oh man, I'm working 13, 14, 16 hours a day, and I'm like, yeah, right, like, come on, like, you're working 18 hours. And then as this took off, I started doing the math, and I was like, oh, snap me out.
Me too, right? You realize that was you.
I am working 16, 17 hours, because work starts literally when you wake up. You're immediately like handling the emails, isn't that? Putting the kids to school, and then back into the computer, going out and selling. You come back for dinner, have to spend a time with the family, maybe 1 hour or two, and then you're back in the computer, and then you go to back until 11, almost midnight. And so you just start adding all those hours. I'm like, oh snap! Yes, I did work almost 17 hours. So yeah, it's crazy. So I take it back for everyone who said that, and I about it. I take it back. I apologize.
Yes, that is the truth. So we want to hear a little bit more about Tia Lupita, and I love how the conversation is just evolving, because those things are so important for people to hear. Especially when we think about culture. That's, you don't often hear that background conversation on business podcasts about the real and the real things that drive us to business. For you, it really was, honestly, it was your best option, building your own thing. You were going to potentially keep getting passed up.
Absolutely.
You had the full capability to build your own brand. And now seeing how successful it is, also really having the confidence of your 14 years behind you and your awesome recipe, you knew you could make this work if you were to focus on it. You basically went full time, right? Did you work other jobs?
No. I went full time. Yeah. And so, yeah, again, just we had the conversation with my wife, and it's like, yep, let's do this. And so I remember really clearly saying, let's give it a year. Let's see how it goes, right? And so, yeah, that was 4 years ago. So we're still here.
Yes, so it definitely worked out for you. I love that. Where did the name Tia Lupita come from? I read it, but I want everyone else to hear. And the recipe.
Yeah, absolutely. So Tia Lupita is my mom.
Yes.
Her name is Lupita, and Tia means aunt. So I know that doesn't make sense, right? Well, if it's your mom, why are you calling her Tia? Why are you calling her aunt? And so it's a term of endearment in Mexico, especially in the Northeast where I'm from. We use we called our friends' parents aunts and uncles.
Right. I'm from the Bahamas, and in the Caribbean we do the same thing. Yeah.
Oh, I heard. Yes, the
Yeah,
auntie
yeah,
and the
yeah.
exactly.
Everyone
So
is auntie, your parents' friends, or someone that might be a little older.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same thing. We've never used the missus or the ma'am or all that stuff. It's always been Tia. And so my friends would literally show up in my house randomly on a Tuesday. They would show up with tacos and Tia Lupita, I brought some tacos. Can I use some of your hot sauce? And so I wanted to honor that. And also there's a little joke within the Hispanic Latino community that goes like, how do you know someone's from Mexico, right? Because just because someone speaks Spanish doesn't mean that it's necessarily from Mexico. There's
Right.
Guatemala, El Salvador, Peru, or Argentina, Bolivia, or whatever. So how do you know someone is from Mexico? It's like, well, if you'll know someone is from Mexico if they have a Tia Lupita, if they have a non, right? Because so Lupita is one of the most popular names in Mexico as well. Mm-hmm. And so that's the genesis of the name. And so the recipe is a family recipe that has been passed down to a single family member from each generation. And so, before my mom, my grandmother had it, and before my grandmother, my great grandmother had it. And it's always one single family. It's, I like to say that in Mexico, we don't inherit cars, jewelries, or houses. We're too poor. What gets passed down is our family recipes. So you will always, those are our family heirlooms. You will always hear the Mexican say, "Ooh, I'm gonna make my grandmother's mole." Mm-hmm. Or, "Ooh, I'm gonna make my aunt's enchiladas." Right. And so this was my inheritance, the Tia Lupita hot sauce recipe. And so how it came about when I moved here. My mom would send me care packages, like a regular mom, a normal mom does when their child, flies, exactly, embarks into a new adventure. A normal mom, though, will send them like a sweater or some socks, maybe some money. If there's, my mom would send me hot sauce. So my mom would send me hot sauce, and so they were super welcome because I couldn't find a hot sauce that in the marketplace that tasted like my mom's. And I was not the only one who thought so. All the people that tried it, were like, "Oh my God, this is delicious! Oh my God, this is one of the best tasting hot sauce I've ever had. Please, when you go to Mexico, tell your mom to make me a bottle. I'll pay for it, whatever." And so every time I went to visit, I would bring orders and orders, and it became unsustainable. I was like, "Guys, I'm leaving clothes behind. I need to, it's like, and so, oh no, then you have to bottle it. You have to sell it." And so that was a recurring feedback for more than 10 years that I kept getting. I should bottle it. I should sell it. And so that's how the idea started for Tia Lupita, and then and this is where sometimes there's, even though I have a CPG background and food background, there's a little bit naiveness or foolishness that, all right, I'm gonna make this. I just need one product. I just need just one, what they call one SKU, right?
Yes. One hero product, right?
Exactly. Tapatio has one SKU. Cholula for the most part only had one SKU, and then Tabasco. So it's like Tia Lupita, of course, it only one. And so that was the original business plan. Just one SKU and to dominate the condiment set. But as it took off and we started hitting stores here in the Bay Area, and started noticing the traction, then you start opening your eyes a little bit more and thinking, well, if I had another SKU, I would have more facings, more presence in the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you start thinking, all right, and so, following the same fulfilling strategy, we added the salsa verde, and then we had chipotle, and then habanero.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you continued to make the recipes off of the famous family recipe.
Absolutely. So the base, the family recipe base, we translated into each hot sauce.
Yes. Okay.
Of seasonings and the mix.
The mix. How did you go from hot sauce, or when did you go from hot sauce to saying, okay, now I'm going to create a line with cactus and build off from there with the tortillas and the chips itself?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Again, as the hot sauces started to take off, and I was truly getting involved in the natural specialty channel.
Mm-hmm.
This white space came at me like right in my face, and I noticed that there was not a Hispanic or a Mexican brand that was that had the attributes to be in this channel. And so the big Hispanic brands, and I don't know if I'll name them and you can edit them, but
I know Siete.
Well, yeah, the Siete, they become brand, but I'm talking about more legacy tired brands. I'm talking like Goya, Herdes, La Costeña, that they're not updating their ingredient list. Mm-hmm. They are not. They're still using the same binders and fillers, a bunch of sodium, a bunch of artificial preservatives. Not innovating, not bringing anything new. They have this bland, mild tasting approach, and most importantly, and this is what I thought. As a Mexican, is that their authenticity, their authenticity or originality had been diluted or lost over the years. Mm-hmm. These were brands that that were launched in the 50s, in the 60s. And now they're considered mainstream.
Yeah.
So seeing that, just staring at me right in the face, I'm like, I think I can pivot or evolve Tia Lupita from being just a hot sauce brand into more of a platform brand.
Absolutely.
Right? And so, but following my self-fulfilling strategy. I was like, all right, what's the line extension, right? Where do I go? Do I bring a better for you beans, or do I do whatever? And so one of the things again is every time I went to Mexico, I would bring tortillas made out of cactus, made with nopales. Why? Because I'm Mexican. I love tacos. Mm-hmm. And I'm always on a diet.
You're always on a diet?
Yes. So tacos and diet should never be in the same sentence.
Why?
because because
I'm kidding.
No, because tortillas are usually perceived as not that healthy, or not having healthy attributes, which they're usually related to
not being as nutritive, maybe being
nutritive, exactly, high carbs and high in calories, and you're like, oh my god. And so in Mexico, we've kind of figured out that if you mix cactus with corn masa, not only are you elevating the nutrition attributes of a tortilla, but you're also lowering the carbs and the calories.
Right.
Now, why was I bringing this tortilla? So again, like I mentioned, I'm a big taco eater. I'm always on a diet, but I couldn't find those tortillas here. They didn't exist in the marketplace.
Yeah.
So that was like my aha moment, right? Like, okay, this is I'm gonna do this, and so we started developing this tortilla here. We met with cactus producers back in Mexico, and developed this better tasting tortilla than what you can find in Mexico, because in Mexico, unfortunately, they're still using a lot of binders and a lot of artificial, like they use a lot of silicon sand in the corn, in the cornmeal, in the corn masa, just so that it doesn't lumps up, right? And so here, I was like, all right, we're gonna do this the right way, the natural way, and hence, who knew, a better product if you do it the right way, right? And so as I was doing, my validating, my taste trials with consumers, I don't know, like, are people gonna like the cactus flavor or the profile? And so I was doing discovery shows, and someone approached my booth and said, "These tortillas are delicious." And I'm, "Oh, thank you so much." And like, "Hey, well, you know that if you make tortillas, you can make tortilla chips." Oh, you don't say. And literally that's how the tortilla chip line was our third extension, right?
Oh, that's
it was
awesome.
just like a natural, we make tortillas, we can make tortilla chips, right?
Yeah.
And so that's how we we expanded into other lines.
Yeah, I love that. So it's also good to get that feedback and to be a part of those shows, whether it's just consumer testing from people in your neighborhood or formally going to a show. All of those things really help you understand the extensibility of the brand. What do other people think outside of your realm? Something else you said also, you talked about seeing the white space opportunity for better for you. The legacy brands, were very traditional, really haven't cleaned up the ingredients. Were you seeing a trend in the US with Mexican Americans, or even just Americans wanting Mexican cuisine, but wanting it to be healthier? Talk to us about some of those trends at the time, that some of them still persist actually today, but talk to us about some of those forces happening at the time that really gave you more confirmation in you positioning yourself as better for you Mexican foods.
Absolutely. Well, I am part of that trend,
Yes.
right? I am Mexican, and when I came here 15 years ago, there were no options. And as I have been living my life here in the United States, I've been acculturating and paying attention to what my peers and friends and wife what they eat and how they shop and all that. So definitely, I mean, you see this in young generations, with millennials and Gen Zs. They're paying attention to the ingredient list, if there's gluten or not gluten, if it has genetically modified organisms, if it's sustainable. Sustainability has become a huge.
I noticed the cactus you mentioned is sustainable. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's one of the things that I was thinking, that okay, this is too good to be true, dude. What's the catch here? Like, am I going to be the first brand to introduce cactus in the internet? And so it's like, why has no one ever done this?
Right.
So Ricky was thinking this also when he was like, what's the catch? So it's like, what? And so I think cactus can be a little bit polarizing. If you think about it, it's when you think of a cactus, it's in a desert, and it has spikes and not very approachable. And so I'm like, yeah, what's going on with that? But when I really took a step back and started saying, like, no, now it's the time for cactus. And why? Because cactus is a superfood. It has the same superfood nutrients as kale, moringa, goji berries, or kelp. So it's high in antioxidants.
Rich. Yes.
Yep. It's low glycemic, helps reduce blood sugar levels, high in iron, high in calcium, high in fiber. But here's the chef kiss, or the cherry on the pie. It is the most sustainable plant in the world. It grows in the desert.
With limited water, right?
It needs very little water to no water, and maintenance as well. Very little maintenance. It literally, where there doesn't need to be a specific pH in the dirt for it to grow. It'll wherever the path lands, it'll bloom. It'll set roots. And so nowadays, when there is global warming and climate change, which is all real, by the way, we need to find foods that can provide us the essential nutrients to live a healthy life. And so cactus is the only plant that thrives under those conditions.
They call it planet-friendly food, right?
Absolutely. Food. The United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization baptized or classified the nopal cactus in 2017 as the food of the future, and they're investing in educating programs in Asia and Africa, countries where there's famine and drought and natural disasters, so that they learn how to cultivate cactus, and not only cultivate but process it in the foods that they can make with it. So it's fantastic, and so we're really proud that we can say that we are the first brand to introduce cactus here in the United States as a sustainable, functional alternative ingredient, and so 2 years ago, people would ask me, investors would ask me, like, aren't you 2 or 3 years ago? But the investors would ask, aren't you afraid, or are you worried about all the education that will need to go behind this? And back then, I would say, yes, a little bit. There's definitely going to be some education that need to be happen, but I have the support of 50 million Mexicans, Hispanics, living here in the United States.
US. They know
that know it, that grew up with it. It's part of our culture. It's part of our diet, and it's part of our flag. The cactus is in our flag, and so as of last year, I've seen brands here in the United States that have cactus as a business platform, or have cactus as an ingredient. There's a brand in New York called Nopalera. It's a beauty brand.
I know it.
They use cactus as in their beauty products, soaps, and all that stuff. And then there's another healthy cactus snack based out of Chicago called Nemi Holistics. And then there's a brand out of Boston called Prickly Water, and they make rehydrating water out of the prickly pear fruit that comes from the cactus. Same with, there's another one in Scottsdale called True Nopal, and it's a prickly pear water. And even there's this soft drink that is making the waves everywhere called Olipop. Yes. Olipop is now known like the better for you soda pop, and one of the ingredients in their tonics is nopal. It's cactus. So it's fantastic. So I'm super excited of seeing all this surge in cactus using nopal.
Yeah, the interest. Yeah. That is awesome. Talk to us. I think your experience working with an ingredient where you are the category pioneer. Talk to us about what goes into having to educate the consumer, having to educate even buyers to the opportunity. Now, in this case, I think you're, like we mentioned, 50 million Mexicans. So, but that aside, if you can give any advice to the Boss Fam, maybe they have a product from their culture that they're looking to bring to market, and the mass majority don't know what this is. What would some of the advice you give them?
Yeah. So so be authentic and stick with that. Your authenticity needs to come through, right? Globally, this is a great data point, and I just read it. So I'm gonna sound smart, but I'm not that because I literally just read. But the global inspired foods are growing double the double the rate than non-global inspired foods here in the United States. The U.S. palate is evolving and
Yeah.
accepting.
But so is the face, right? Part of what's driving that is the face of Americans is also
Absolutely.
growing, right? You are having the most amount of diverse Americans ever coming from different places who are missing those foods. Yeah. And also just this curiosity for
and we're all sharing our culture. We're all sharing our foods and our backgrounds. And so lean on that community, right? But don't. I mean, this has been my approach. Like with our chips, I could have made an approachable chip with like flavors like barbecue or sour cream and onion or nacho cheese. No, I am sticking with my authenticity. I am my flavors are bold. I like to say that they're bold and that we're bringing flavorful heat. And these are the flavors that you would find in the Mexican chip aisle in Mexico, back home, right? They're spicy flavors, and so for us, we were able to. We had the hot sauces, so it's almost like a cross marketing between different aisles. But I do feel that being authentic and sticking to it will go a long way, and buyers definitely respect that. Don't get your arm twisted into like, oh, have you thought about making like that, like a natural cheese flavor or like a more approachable, like, can you make it in the shape of a burger? I don't know.
We understand. That's a good point. Really sticking to your roots. That's what makes Tia Lupita so authentic, even down to the curler in your mom's hair, which is authentic. Now just blast from her past. Did she always walk around with the curlers in her hair in the house?
Yes, absolutely. So this is a great story because that's exactly how you would find my mom in the house, with wearing that curler and her apron and in the kitchen, because that was her outfit. But for me, that was so normal. So when we were doing the brand, like the ideas for what's going to be the brand logo and and this and that. So I the graphic designer is like, okay, give me a mood board. Give me like, what do you think, when you think about your mom and your Mexico and the recipe. And so I'm putting pictures of Mexico and Monterey, the mountains, and pictures of food, and some urban art like graffiti, and I'm trying to and then I also put like obviously a picture of my mom, and the only picture of my mom was the one that you see back then, that I had on hand. It was the one that you see on package, and so when the graphic designer saw the mood board, she immediately gravitated into that one. Oh, it's like, Hector, oh my God, that's my inspiration. That's my. What are you talking about? Like, look at your mom. I'm like, yeah, I'm looking at it. It's like the curler is. I'm like, oh, I had completely not noticed that she was wearing a curler.
You're so used to seeing her. That's
exactly. So my mom to this day is like, you couldn't have used another picture.
So are you the favorite son because you basically name your product after her, or is she like, what?
It's like, what have you done to my life? Now I'm like, now everybody knows me like this curler crazy woman. So
where does mom stand? Where does Tia Lupita stand?
No, she's really proud. She's really proud of what I have accomplished, and what we continue to do. My sisters as well. They're really, really proud. Everyone is really proud.
Does your family members work in the business today?
No, not yet, not yet. My so my mom and dad, they're Monterey. My sister, I have two sisters,
Mhm.
and they all have. So they're my parents are empty nesters. My Brenda, who's the one in the middle, lives in Mexico City, and then my youngest one, Priscilla, lives in Barcelona.
Wow.
So yeah, they're a little bit all over the place. Hopefully, one day I'm gonna be able to reel them all back in and into the family business if they're interested.
Do your children understand what you're building?
Yes, my oldest ones, yeah, they they do understand. They joke about like somehow they think we have like millions of dollars because they've seen a product on the
Because your
shelf.
product is on the shelf, and they're
Exactly,
like, "Are we
exactly.
rich or no?"
Exactly. Like they because so I'm like, no, Alec, we're not rich. We're working towards it.
Yes. That is awesome though. Like, being able to leave that type of legacy and having your kids be able to see something you made, something that comes from your family on the shelf. That's such a big deal.
It is. No, it is. And there is for me one of the proudest moments I have was we've had all this distribution in the West and in New York and Texas. We were just not able to get there, and so it has taken a while. But Cost Plus World Market brought in our products, and I knew that there was a Cost Plus World Market near McAllen, Texas. So I I told my mom that she could drive, like next time she had to visit her family, like to drive to the Cost Plus, and so she sends me a picture on her phone, and it's her kissing a bottle of her with her
What a
face, the
moment. What a
logo. It's
moment.
like now the circle has been closed.
Yes. Oh, that is awesome. So, talking about milestones, I am curious. You've had a whirlwind of a year, even though it might have not been the best year for getting investment. You have had a great year. You were recently named Expo West Virtual Pitch Slam winner, and
Yes.
that is amazing. You also have some other crazy good news, and it has to do with Rihanna. So we want to hear about both.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, we last month we pitched at the Natural Products Expo West, which is the largest food expo for natural products in the United States. It's like the mecca for food, for natural food brands to participate, and a lot of emerging brands, a lot of startups apply to participate in the pitch competition, which is kind of for the boss listeners. It's kind of like being in Shark Tank.
Exactly.
It's you're pitching to a panel of judges, and the judges grill you with all types of questions, and most importantly, what they're trying to realize or validate is if your brand or product has life. Like will definitely set roots and have the possibility to become a big brand, a recognized brand across the nation. And man, I tell you, it was.
You won.
I won. Yes, we won. We won. We won.
How's that for validation?
Yeah, exactly. And it was really emotional. I just have to say that. I mean, the whole, all the brands that participated were so good. The founders were amazing. It's how do you pick a brand, right? And anyways, they announced the winner, and so before we're in this virtual waiting room, and so the staff members, the organizers, was like, all right guys, let's put some energy into this. Whoever they announced the winner, like, act surprised and bring some emotion.
But you were surprised, right?
And I was like, and so as soon as I'm like, I was completely, surprised, and now it's just like a lot of things started coming through my mind, like,
What was coming through your mind?
well, the year that we had just gone through, right?
Yeah.
The struggles. I mean, one of I mean one of the things about being an entrepreneur is that there is constant insecurities. I call it the doubt demons. They come out every night, and so you know we have to celebrate the wins, and there's definitely traction in that, but somehow we always gravitate towards, what am I not doing? Why have the buyers not accepted my product? Or you start comparing yourself to other brands. It's like, why is that brand getting recognized and I'm not? And so there's a whole bunch of stuff, of insecurity, and it showers you with insecurities. Just going through this year of the pandemic, and where there were no category reviews, no new item acceptances happening. It put a lot of doubts in my mind, and also seeing other brands that had to shut their operations. Brands that didn't make it, and all that just started to fly in my head. And it was
blessed you were in that.
Yeah, exactly. It was exactly. It was one of the things where I started saying, "Oh my God, I'm so surprised, and thank you." And then it's like, hold it together, man. Hold it together.
You cried.
It's one of the your
That's
voice
worth crying for, though.
Yeah, your voice starts to shake, and Trevor's like, "What's happening?" Just hold it together. A lot of people are watching you, but I couldn't hold it. It was a huge, really. It was literally like a 1,000 pounds had been lifted off of my chest, and I could finally breathe. So it was again, and it was the ultimate validator for us, right? And then with Rihanna,
before I move to Rihanna, I have a follow-up on, just for folks that might want to aspire to be a part of some of these pitch competitions. Tell the Boss Fam what that does for you, what that does for your brand, what type of visibility and outcomes.
Oh my goodness! Well, I definitely, guys, wherever you see an opportunity to pitch, apply. Most of them are free, or there's like a minimum entry, but it's so worth it. This was my third pitch competition. Have
you won any others before?
With judges. Yes. The first pitch competition, I was literally in diapers. It was the Naturally Bay Area Pitch Slam, and it was the inaugural Pitch Slam, and but I was so new. But we got second place. We were runner up. And then the following year, I participated in in Food Bites, which is a fooding.
I remember them, Rabobank's food.
Rabobanks, exactly. And so I participated in their Chicago event. This was their last live event before the pandemic hit, and we took the judges' prize there. So I've been pitching, either to all this helps you for investors and buyers, and it just helps you sharpen
awareness as well,
and awareness, importantly, because there's a lot of people watching this, right? There's a lot of investors and buyers, publicists, that are like, wow, I've never heard about this brand, and let me reach out, and they want to learn more, or they want to bring you in. It for sure. It's a great platform that's very well rounded. It'll help from practicing, to awareness to getting you into places.
Yeah, it's good credential to share as a way to get your foot in the door.
Yeah, absolutely, and so and very important. It's there's always always want to be a winner, but being there, the experience, it's you're winning actually. You're because you're gaining this experience, and you're learning also from the other brands. You get to see the other brands, how they pitch and what resonated, and maybe you can replicate that. That's
and another thing to mention here is the feedback you get. So whether you win or lose, you get experts telling you what they think could help your brand win or what could strengthen it, and that in itself is invaluable, right?
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. The feedback that you get from these judges, because they're all, the judges are experts. They're people that are successful in their line of profession. They're either founders that exited successfully, or buyers of national accounts, or investors. So the feedback that you get, the learning that you get is you're winning. It's
Yeah. So now we want to hear about Rihanna.
Yeah. So that is that. The world spins in such a funny way. Literally, I receive an email from Fenty Beauty Lines, and I'm sorry, but I didn't know Fenty. I don't.
Oh, you didn't know that was her name, her brand name.
That's her. Yeah, that's her brand name. So hi, and this email came through our website. So hi, I am the brand director for Fenty Beauty Line, and we want to see if you would be interested in collaborating with us. We would do a feature, and we would need I don't know what they say, like 400 samples or 500 samples. Are you okay with that? And I'm like, oh my God, like Beauty Line, I'm hot, so I don't know what's going on. And so I'm kind of like, I'm like, what is this? And it just, my wife is walking by, and I'm like, should I ask you? I don't want to bother. So I forward that email to one of my employees, and I'm like, because he handles everything customer service, like complaints. He's usually getting the emails about, I ordered a bottle and it broke, and like, can I get a replacement, or stuff like that. So I'm like, dude, check it out. What is that? We'll see. He literally replies back to me within within the hour. It's like, you're going to love me, or you're gonna promote me. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Well, that email you sent is like, Fenty, and I'm like, that's Rihanna's beauty line. And I'm
Rihanna, right?
You know Rihanna.
Tell me we don't have to educate on that.
You know Rihanna, right? I'm like, I know Rihanna. Of course, my umbrella, Ella.
Hey!
Yeah, of course. So I know. Like, I didn't know Rihanna had a beauty line. I'm like, yeah. So I got with her. I got to speak with the marketing team, and they're launching this, lip gloss called Heat, and they use capsaicin, which is the natural chemical in peppers that produces the heat in peppers. So they're using it in such a way in this lip gloss that it plumps your lips, and it makes them all beautiful and plump. And like, no way. And no, not only that, Rihanna herself chose three hot sauce brands to support the minorities here in the United States. So she chose an Asian American brand, African American brand, and a Mexican American brand. And so she loves your habanero, and we're gonna go out to over 500 influencers and celebrities, and and I'm like, what? Like it was like definitely a whirlwind there. Like,
yeah.
And I almost deleted that email.
Isn't that something.
And I'm like, man, yeah, I'm glad I did it.
So when can we expect to see influencers popping up talking about Tia Lupita?
So they are starting right now. So you know, if you go to Fenty Beauty on their Instagram, and or if you follow us at Tia Lupita Foods on Instagram, we are constantly reposting the post of all these influencers. Some are super creative, some are so funny, but some of them are just like, can't wait to try this. It's pretty cool.
This is a market you may have never accessed without this type of collaboration, right?
Oh, no, absolutely.
You don't expect, you were like, beauty brand, what? But the funny thing is that this is somewhat of a trend that I've seen on YouTube. Let me tell you what it's called. So it's called like lipstick hot sauce, where they actually put it on their lips. So I found this hot sauce lip gloss test. Have you heard about that?
No.
This is like a thing, okay? This brand that does it has 4 million subscribers.
Oh, wow.
Good mythical more. 4 million subscribers watching this hot sauce lip gloss test. So this is like a thing. I know hot sauce has really become popular with rappers and others who basically, like DJ Khaled does it too, like looking at the spice level. So that's a great activation with Rihanna.
No,
really pairing the hot sauce with the lip
absolutely
gloss.
Absolutely. I had no idea though that the use of the capsaicin to plump your lips, and it kind of makes sense. And apparently now I'm learning more, right? Of course, I'm listening to all these influencers. Apparently, glossy lipsticks usually produce this burning or warm sensation. And so I guess Rihanna's approach with her lipstick was because apparently with other brands it can become a little bit come with a discomfort. With Rihanna brand, that's not the case, right? So yeah, I'm I'm shocked. I'm fascinated. I'm grateful. Yeah, there's a lot of good things happening in the last month or so.
Even the last month, yeah. So those things are really great. But talk to us about maybe what are some of your personal top milestones that you consider for the business.
Well, for the most recent one, and it is a huge milestone, was getting into Sprouts. Sprouts is an account that
one of my favorite specialty stores.
Yeah, exactly. We love and respect. Yeah, exactly. If you guys don't know Sprouts is the perfect. I would like to say this is how I describe a Sprout. Is the perfect hybrid or combination of a Whole Foods and a Trader Joe's.
Yes.
And so there's no price shock there. There's no sticker shock, and it's very well merchandised, and the customer service inside is great.
Yeah.
And so we just got authorized there with our tortillas, with our cactus tortillas, both SKUs. So that's fantastic. HEB, it's a huge milestone for me because finally, I was telling the buyer that. The only way my family in Texas could find it was driving to this Cost Plus World Market in between Pharr and McAllen. And so being in HEB, that now not only my family but my friends that from Monterey, when they go to visit the border, they can go to HEB and find it. So that for me, it's another huge milestone. But just overall. Seeing that we're thriving and that we're growing, that our consumer fan base is growing, and we have the repeat orders.
Yes.
All that is every day is a milestone.
Yes, it is. And you just keep your head down, get the work done, and you find these exciting things come through where you get recognized or your product is able to grow in ways that you wanted to, increasing distribution. What's something that you would like to be the next frontier?
So we definitely want to continue in the Tia Lupita. We're a better for you, authentic Mexican-inspired food brand that uses clean, simple ingredients in all of our products.
Yes.
And that's we want to continue in that lane, in that with that vision, but also with the sustainability twist. And so, for example, obviously we talked about cactus and how it's being sustainable,
yes.
But we're also experimenting with upcycled ingredients.
Yes,
in our grain-free tortilla, we use okara flour. Okara is the by-waste of soy milk and tofu. So, when they process soy milk and tofu,
is it high protein?
Yes, high protein and high. It's a high protein, high fiber. It's all the pulp. It's all the fiber that it gets left out when they squeeze all the juice out of the edamame or of the soybean, and so we get all that bio waste, which would end up in landfills and dump in the dumpsters. And we process it into this awesome high protein, high fiber flour that we can mix with the cactus and other alternative flours. And so we have this great tasting tortilla. So the idea is, can we do more with that, right? How can we help reduce our food supply chain carbon footprint more and more? And so maybe down the line we can produce a better for you tamales or empanadas using those ingredients in the flours.
That's like a really great next step for the brand, especially because of the runway you've already made for yourself,
really absolutely
growing in that direction. I'm curious. So we talked a lot about kind of the relevance of this brand. We talked about how it's healthy, sustainable. We talked about your background. What does it mean for you to be a Mexican brand on shelf doing what you do?
Oh, it means the world. I mean, being Mexican, it's one of the things that I personally feel like so far but so close, to my country, right? And even though there's this proximity, there's still a lot of things that the mainstream consumer here in the United States don't know. Perfect example: cactus. They didn't know, they didn't know about the nutritional properties of nopales and this and that. So, I am definitely, allowing myself to be that brand that I want to break that paradigm of always offering the approachable, Mexican food. If you will allow me, I will go into the past, into history of the roots.
Go ahead, yes.
Yes. Why Mexican food has this unhealthy perception here in the United States, and it's because back in the 40s there was a big immigrant wave of Mexicans coming to the United States because of World War II, and they all brought their food and their culture and their heritage, but it was a little bit polarizing for the American mainstream consumer. They all found the Mexican food was either too spicy or too hot, and so they had to start to mile it down with cheese and sour cream and frying, all that stuff. So it has kind of, that has evolved to today to the Mexican food we know here in the United States. And so I definitely want to change that. That Mexican food is probably the pioneer of healthy. When I like to joke, like, all this, the cricket cricket brands that come out, like Chirps and they're high protein.
Right.
And like we've been eating crickets in Mexico since ever, and the healthy fats diet, isn't that?
Right.
Guys, guacamole, avocado,
right.
we do all that in Mexico. So I feel really good about allowing myself, like I giving myself permission to become the better for you healthy Mexican food brand here in the United States.
Yeah, we're excited that you exist. That's such an important positioning to have, especially as trends evolve and how
absolutely. And unfortunately for Hispanics, there's a high percentage of Hispanic that suffer from diabetes and
right.
malnutrition and all that stuff. So, if whatever I can do to contribute to change that, I'll be happy.
Yes, thank you. Lastly, I would love for you to share with us where we can follow the brand, where we can follow you. Give us your information. We will also have it in the show notes.
Yeah, absolutely. You can definitely find us at tialupitafoods.com.
Yes.
We're also at Amazon. Instagram, we're very active there. We will do a post once a day. We'll post our recipes and the collaborations that we're doing. So obviously, depending on where you live, if you live near a specialty natural food store, you'll probably find us there. But we're making our way into the conventional channel in the future.
Yeah, that's awesome. Any remaining advice for the Boss Fam?
Oh my God! Just keep grinding, keep doing. Stick to your guns. I mean, be authentic and be passionate. That's very important. Try to transmit that through packaging, through branding, with your personality. All that comes through, and all that. That's what resonating with consumers now. Authenticity and originality,
Mm-hmm.
some sort of purpose, some personality.
Absolutely.
And you just and as long as you're working really hard, it'll happen.
Yeah. Well, Hector, I think you're going to quickly become a lot of people's favorite entrepreneur. Again, you're so approachable. I really admire your story and how down to earth you are, even though you're literally building something so amazing with Tia Lupita. We certainly wish you the best. We'll be eating some cactus tortilla chips and wraps, and we'll also enjoy your hot sauce. We do have one question. Do you carry hot sauce in your bag?
I used to, not anymore. But I used to carry my mom's hot sauce before everywhere. That's how people started to try it. I was that guy that was bringing hot sauce to the office. Sorry, yes.
Oh my gosh. So there we have it. We got to ask that golden question. Are you carrying hot sauce in your bag? The Hector, creator of Tia Lupita. This was an awesome conversation. I know the Boss Fam, really got a lot of nuggets from this. Definitely inspiration. We're certainly celebrating your success, and we will be supporting the brand.
Thank you so much, Niraj, for your time. The hour flew by. I was I don't even know if it was an hour. It was
more, but thank you for your time.
Exactly. I could stay here another hour. I'll just want to crack a beer now. It's like
I know we could talk all day.
I know, but again, thank you so much for for the conversation. Is lovely, and yeah, please let me know if anything else, guys out there. Reach out, Instagram, website. I'll answer all the emails.
You learned from the Rihanna thing.
Yes, exactly.
Reading emails.
Never discarding an email ever.
I feel you. Thank you so much, Hector.